If you want to finally write that book of yours this year, there's some stuff you need to know that'll stop you from giving up or burning out. This is stuff that, as a writer and a freelance editor, I've been through in my own writing and I see in my clients' work all the time. They get stuck, they can't make progress, and they're disappointed in what they write. So how do you get past that? How do you not only get started, but make it stick? The answer actually isn't in setting a writing routine, using a certain software, taking a writing course, sticking to a set novel structure, or selling your soul to the devil, though those things can help. Probably not the last one. I've got something practical for us to try at the end of the video, by the way, but the real answer, to risk sounding a bit like a Disney movie, is within you. But how can that be? If you've got no experience, no blueprint to follow, and no idea how to write your first line, how are you supposed to find what you need within yourself? Well, in my experience, all the most important parts of writing don't come from rules we follow, or structures we adhere to, or magic tips and tricks, but instead from our innate creativity, our intentions, and our willingness to learn and persevere. It's a matter of trusting yourself a little bit, being willing to give something a shot, and the single most important thing, being willing to accept imperfection. What do you think is the biggest thing that holds writers back? This is something I see all the time, so I'll give you a hint. It's not struggling to phrase something, or how much research to do, or where to take the plot of a story. It's all about how they view the writing process. Those writers that get held back tend to look at writing as though they're sitting an exam or taking a test, as though it's a pass or fail exercise that they get one shot at, and if they don't do well, that's it. Pack it up and go home. But that's not how it works at all. The process of learning to write is not a one and done task. It's a building process. To get to the, oh, I actually really like what I'm writing stage, you have to be willing to go through the, okay, this is a good place to start stage. If you can do that, you'll establish a baseline of support for yourself. That patience and self-belief, even if what you write doesn't match your expectations yet, will help you get there much faster, and it'll be a more sustainable approach. If you can just make a decision to say, I don't love what I'm writing yet, instead of, I don't love what I'm writing, so I'm done, that'll put you ahead of a lot of people who try writing. Another question for you. Imagine we're writing a story. Which of these inner monologues makes for a character you'd rather read about? Number 1. Oh, this is really hard. I'm bad at this. I'm not cut out for it, clearly, so I quit. Number 2. Oh, this is really hard. I don't know if I can do it, but if I want this, I'm going to have to keep going and see where it takes me. I'm oversimplifying, I know. And it's totally understandable to think like number 1, but when you do that, you limit yourself from the off. Whereas those who think like the second example tend to stick with writing a little bit longer because there's more flexibility there. But don't worry, the best thing is if you're a number 1 thinker right now, you can decide not to stay that way. You don't have to be perfectly accepting of all your flaws and never frustrated by a lack of progress. That's unrealistic. But constantly being one step away from quitting is not exactly the mindset that will allow you to be creative and to learn. Putting all of your hopes of ever being a writer into one piece of writing, it's like a huge surge of electricity all at once, and it trips the breaker, and then everything goes dark. Trying to give yourself as much patience and self-support as you can, however, takes some pressure off that breaker. It allows you a bit more room to give it a fair shot without the risk of it all blowing up in your face. And if you're not convinced yet that your mindset is really this big a part of it, think about this. The part of you that wants to write stories, who is that? I grew up reading a lot. I always enjoyed it. I also wrote little poems and short stories. So in a sense, I think the writer within me is still that little boy. That's where it started. If you've had your eye on writing for a long time too, and it doesn't matter how old or young you are, by the way, then perhaps it might be the same for you. Perhaps there's a little version of you there that always wanted to tell stories. So are you going to tell them, no, you can't do this, it's too hard? Or are you going to say, sure, let's give it a try and see if it's fun? Maybe for you it's not as deep as all that. It's just something that you fancy giving a try. But here's something you don't often hear writers say. There's always going to be more reasons to give up writing than to continue writing. There is. You might struggle to think up the plot of a story, but believe me, your mind will have no issue whatsoever in inventing all kinds of excuses for you to stop. That's always going to be there. That feeling that it almost doesn't make sense to keep going, that's normal. But we still need something that can help us override that. Something that pushes us forward, a reason to keep going and to counter all of the reasons to stop writing, something that will keep you on task. The question is, what is that for you? The overall force that pushes you forward. And here's where a lot of not just new but experienced writers can make a mistake too, but a fixable one. If what jumped into your mind as I asked that question was that you want to be a professional writer, you want to win awards, you want a dedicated fan base, and you want people to love your books, that's great. And it's not wrong to want those things, but there is a problem. All of those things are results you might get from outside validation, from achieving things and hitting targets and being successful. That type of thing absolutely can be a really good motivator, for sure. But the mistake is, when you're just starting out with writing, these things will probably feel pretty far away and can actually make you feel worse about where you are instead of pushing you to keep going. Imagine setting out aiming to write a 3-book series that'll win the Arthur C. Clarke Award, for example, and then finding yourself struggling to write the opening chapter of book 1. That packs a punch, and that's exactly why I'd suggest finding motivation somewhere a little different. Taking up writing because it's something you've just always wanted to do for you, a gift for yourself, or a promise kept to your inner child maybe, is a goal that you can achieve right now as well as on into the future. It's something that will stay relevant as you progress and will always be a foundation reason to keep going. Having a focus like that helps cut through the noise a bit because there's a lot of that out there. You might have found this video through searching something like how to write a book, perhaps, and I'm sure my video was one of many that you could have chosen. Thanks, by the way. And not just videos, but articles, courses, qualifications, and other resources. How are writers who are new to the craft supposed to know what's actually useful among all of those resources? I think the answer is to first learn what kind of writer you are. Do you want to write plotty, fast-paced thrillers, or slower, more lyrical literary fiction? Because the best advice for one might be really bad for the other. Once again, it all comes back to you. How you feel about storytelling, how you want to approach stories, and what kind of books you love already. Knowing that, or having some idea of the direction you want to go in, makes it a lot easier to pass over writing advice that just isn't your style, or that you just don't vibe with, so that you don't get stuck. It's just a matter of figuring out what's going to be important to learn for you personally. And I can hear the question in your mind already, Kieran, how the hell am I supposed to do that? By writing. It's really as simple as that. Put pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard and try writing from where you naturally are before you try to take on a load of really specific advice and influences all at once. See what parts of the writing process you struggle most with. If it's dialogue or plotting or how to present your story on the page even. Then you can look up advice that's more specific and start filling in gaps. In my opinion, and based on my experience, and that's all any of this is, the process should always start with writing. And I'm going to help you do that in just a moment. Before that, here's a quick summary of my key points here. Support yourself ahead of everything else. Make a promise to give yourself a chance and not quit if things are hard. Writing's hard for everyone when you're just getting started. Hell, it's hard for me now, but I believe in what I do, and that makes it a lot easier to keep going. Engage with your real goal. Think about why you want to write in the first place. Most people find it's something they've always wanted to do, so connect with that and make it a priority. You deserve that, and it'll help you. And if your motivation feels like it might be coming from outside validation, awards and sales and that kind of thing, try asking yourself why you want those things. Because there might still be something else driving that that's more from the heart that will support you for longer. Cut out the noise. Try not to get drawn into thinking you have to learn everything there is to learn before you write a single line. Most of the progress you'll make in learning to write will come from trying things yourself. Find what's hard first, then look up ideas and approaches for that thing. You can't memorize everything you need to know ahead of time. No one can. Finally, get writing. You may have always wanted to write and put it off until now, but as I said, there are always more reasons to not write than to write. So let's change that pattern today and finally do it. I mentioned practical help. Here's a video where I guide you through exactly how to get started step by step. Support yourself and give it a shot. If you find it useful, maybe hit the subscribe button for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.